Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. So, I was getting ready to move back home to my beloved nation of Texas. One of my considerations was because I saw bail reform, I'm not going to say bail reform, cashless bail enacted in Seattle. Crime rate spiked. If you look at New York, as soon as they enacted this, crime rate spiked. Same thing in California, crime rate spiked. Very bad, but also very good. Austin, Houston, Dallas did it. Well, if you look at the Waukesha incident, now they're squarely blaming bail reform, saying, how could this guy with this long list of felonies get out? And I do believe he had an outstanding warrant in Arizona. When he beat his girlfriend and ran over her twice, went to jail, I would think that the Milwaukee County criminal system would have extradited him back to Arizona for that outstanding warrant. But see, this is what happens when you have liberal DAs and liberal politicians running states, cities, and counties. I've seen it firsthand. The only advantage we really have, right, honestly, is that when these things are enacted, people get ticked as soon as crime rises. Now they're in danger, their families are in danger. Your average person is going to have that because now it impacts them. Meanwhile, you still have people like AOC. I just showed you in a video yesterday, still pushing for this bail reform. Let's shut down the prisons. Rashida Tlaib wanted to close down all federal prisons in 10 years. Do you know who are in federal prisons? And matter of fact, I'm gonna do a video on that later on. I'm gonna show you the actual video. It's just gotten to the point of craziness. Now, here's what happens with craziness. See, the left tend to defeat themselves with their stupid ideologies. And this is one of them. Let's take a look. This is about the Waukesha incident, not even incident, the Waukesha attack and bail reform. And keep in mind, watch what the liberal DA or liberal judge says. Watch, it's really disgusting. One of the things we often do is assume that these people are misguided. No, their leaders are evil. Remember Nazi Germany? Everybody could say the leaders were evil, right? Well, here's the thing. The people following under them were the ones actually committing actual atrocities. AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar are not in the streets burning stuff down. Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Cori Bush, they're not the ones actually in the street. They're the ones giving the order. And I'm gonna warn you like this. To this day, think about this, right? If you were an 18-year-old Nazi youth and you helped our Nazi foot soldier and you committed some of these crimes, to this day, they will hunt you down. I think the oldest surviving known Nazi, 96, just got pulled back to the Nuremberg trials. They just caught him. They will hunt you down to the end of your days. So think about what you're doing, because this isn't going to last. This is not Europe. This isn't Austria, where they're enacting draconian lockdowns. This isn't Australia, where after 3 years ago, they took their firearms. Now they're enacting draconian shakedowns. Not only that, these guys are putting up camps. I just want you to think about that before you go out there and do what you do. But I want you to take a look at this. So Fox News, I'm gonna play this for you and let's begin.
Attorney and Fox News contributor Andy McCarthy. Andy, you can't help but look at this situation from the very moment that we saw it happen and wonder if it could have been prevented. Could it have?
Of course it could have, Sandra. They had to keep a violent multi-offender in prison, and they didn't. And they had, it sounds like they had three, I want to say 1 million, but at least 3 good reasons to keep him in. There was a pending warrant in Nevada, and then there were these 2 recent charges or sets of charges in Milwaukee. One of them, as the report just noted, as recently as November 2nd. I mean, they had a ton of reasons to keep this guy in.
Yeah, and how can the DA now admit that he was out on inappropriately low bail, then announce an investigation?
As you're looking at your screen to the far right, that's actual video of this guy being arrested. So
From the DA's office that made that decision.
Yeah, well, I think this is really hypocritical because what we ought to be having here now, once we can get past the tragic nature of all this is the progressive vision of how the criminal justice system is supposed to work. And this very DA, in an interview that he gave some years back to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, basically said, look, does my philosophy of letting people out, does that mean that inevitably, eventually, somebody will commit a murder after I have diverted him from the criminal justice system? Yes, but nevertheless, even though that's bound to happen, this is my vision and I'm sticking to it. And obviously, what we have is a situation where philosophically, there are people who believe that incarceration is worse than the alternative. And I suppose that's one way of looking at it in the abstract. But here we see the concrete result of that. Somebody who is a violent criminal who belongs incarcerated in the system while he awaits charges was out and totally predictably committed a horrific homicide.
And to your point about the Milwaukee Journal sentiment, I know you referenced back to this in 2007. Is there going to be an individual I divert or I put into a treatment program who's going to go out and kill somebody? You bet, guaranteed. It's guaranteed to happen. It does not invalidate the overall approach. So why would there?
ladies and gentlemen, could you hear the evil seething from that statement? This is going to be their downfall. Yeah, they moved into a lot of big cities and took control. But you know what? That little mentality and not caring about people know when you do and don't care about them. So let me pull that out. So now I'm going to show you the Texas response to this. And don't get me wrong, it's not because we're Texas and we think we're better than everybody else or anything like that, even though we did. But this is going to be the response of your average citizen through every city in the United States. Because when evil directly impacts you, then you'll get up and do something. Let's see what Texas does, shall we, people?
Celebration in Austin. A bill for a stricter felony bail system is moving on in the Senate.
If this bill was in place, brother definitely will do a lot today.
A bittersweet day for Teresa Sack. Her brother, Patrick, murdered near the Galleria last September. Patrick's case, part of a familiar storyline examined by KPRC2 Investigates in Harris County. The alleged killer out on bond.
I'm confident that something will be done because this is common sense.
However, reforming the bail system is far from simple. It's a complex process. Is the bill now moving forward in your mind perfect?
Nothing's ever perfect, but it's an excellent bill.
Hoffman, a Republican, has bipartisan support. Democratic State Senator Jose Chuy Hinojosa supports it. Hinojosa believes judges need more training, along with stricter guidelines when evaluating bail in cases where the defendant is already waiting trial in another violent case.
What kind is that?
Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't want to subject you to all that, but understand what's going on now, right? Because these Democrats know. And if you look at the Kewausha thing or the Wisconsin thing, right? I'll just say Wisconsin. Having a hard time pronouncing it, so. Now the Democrat, even the Democrat DA, right, is coming out saying, well, we have to reevaluate how we got out on such low bail. You're the one that requested the bill. You saw in that judge's own words in a quote. Look how excited that sounds. Are people going to get murdered? You bet. They are evil. They are evil incarnate. And even with our own loved ones, right? I was thinking about this. Think about if the Jews, because Nazis didn't only kill Jews, they put a lot of people into the chambers. It wasn't just Jews. But imagine if all those people had realized sooner rather than later that this is evil. No, I'm not going to get on that boxcar. I know where I'm going. Think about it. Not say don't get on the boxcar. Watch this movie. It was the one with not Tom Cruise. Who's the other guy? Blonde hair. What's the name of that movie? Z-Day? World War Z? No, Z-Day. Anyway, so when he arrives in the walled off city in Israel, right? And they're driving along, the Jewish guy he goes, well, how did you guys find out about this virus before anybody else? He goes, well, we have a rule. After Nuremberg, after World War II, we have a panel of, I think he said 13. The 12 agree it's the duty of the last guy to disagree, even if he agrees with them. Notice how this movement is growing? This movement in the war on woke is growing. They're being driven out. They're going to be voted out soon. Because once you actually see their ideas in action, and having lived in the belly of the beast in Washington State, it doesn't work. You see crime go up, you see homelessness go up, violent crimes spike. That's why the firearms business did so good up there. Heck, I couldn't hardly run any of my other businesses because I'm teaching firearms classes all the time, because people felt threatened. And usually it was older people. You can see it in the streets, you can see it now. So you saw the thing there, I come bearing fruits of hope. That when tragedies like this start happening, now people are looking at the people who make the laws. And it just boils up and boils up. Think about it. It's the end of November. It's almost Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. If I don't get to make another video between here and there, I'm going to make a few tonight. I'm dealing with a lot of business, just, expanding my business, dealing with a lot international business. So going to be up throughout the night. Where was I going with that? Oh, but look, people are catching on. They're blaming the policymakers. See, they tried to turn this into this is retaliation for the Rittenhouse trial. No. The Rittenhouse trial should have never happened if that mayor and governor would have called in the National Guard. Kenosha was on fire for 3 days. I showed you the article. Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't the only one out there. He made it seem like he was the only one out there. I showed you where a Black father and his 16-year-old daughter said they were out there protecting a restaurant and 2 empty parking lots. So he wasn't the only one. Now you're seeing their policies at work. It's there for the world to see. At the end of November, rolling into 2020 or 2022, coming right up, right? And Thanksgiving hits. Now they're telling you, well, just take the turkey off the menu, have an Italian, whatever. Like, that's not the spirit of Thanksgiving. Watch what happens when Christmas comes around. They're going to say, oh, you don't need Christmas gifts and blah, 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 and cut back on it. This is all part of the program, see, to make you think their ideas are right. Then deep down in your heart, you know they're wrong. And actually, I'm not going to say they're wrong. They're exactly wrong is when you do something you weren't intending to do. This is evil. They're doing exactly what they intend to do. I say, hey, the world's waking up. The United States is waking up. This might not be going on much longer. So like, subscribe, share, and as always, do what you got to do.